it's CJ from I Love My Kids blog, and today I'm going to show you how to make a weighted vest. The kindergarten teacher at our school had mentioned that she would like to have a weighted vest in her classroom as she thought many of her students could benefit from it, but there was no room in the budget. They start at $60 and can go up from there. So I thought I'd take a little bit of time this weekend and make one to give to her when school starts again. And I'll show you step-by-step pictures along the way on how to do it. So I picked up this vest on Amazon. I chose fleece because it's soft and most kids like fleece. Now this is going to be used by multiple students, so instead of just making it specifically for a boy or a girl or making it specific weighted, I'm going to make it so she can use it for any of her students. So what I intend to do is right here along the bottom, I'm going to sew a piece of matching felt along the bottom there. So I'm going to stitch it on here, and then I'm going to sew lines down like this and make 4 or 5 pockets. I'm not sure how many pockets I'm going to make yet. And then I am going to make little weighted bags to have to be able to put in. And I'm going to make them different sizes because I want this to be able to work for anybody. So these are called poly pellets. Sometimes they're clear, sometimes they're black, sometimes they're white. They're all different colors, different sizes and shapes, and they're just a little bead that you can fill into a fabric bag to make different weights. So I plan on doing that. I'm also going to add some batting to it so it's soft and comfortable for the kids. And I'm going to make each of these each of these weighted bags with different color fabrics and different weights. So one of them is going to be 1 pound, one of them is going to be 0.5 pounds. So the teacher can customize this to fit well for the student, and the student can pick out their favorite color of weighted bag. So it'll be not only fun, but it'll be exciting. And then because I don't want the kids playing with the weighted bags while they're wearing it, I have this awesome velcro that I picked up that is sticky back for fabric, so I don't actually have to stitch it on, because if I stitched it on I'd have a bunch of stitching back here and I don't want that. But within 24 hours it sticks and it's washable and it goes good for fabric. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to put a little bit of velcro on here and a little bit on this side, and that way once the weighted bags are inserted we're going to be able to have them on there, have them in there good. And then I'm also going to up here at the top, I'm going to make small weighted bags that can be put on their shoulder that are comfortable, and maybe just ½ pound each, so they have weight on top and on the back too. Weighted vests can help students to feel more comfortable if they're feeling anxious in a situation, or they can help them to concentrate. I'm really excited to give this to the kindergarten teacher, and I can't wait to start making it. So stick around and I'll show you every step of the way. The first step in making the vest is to determine how long of a piece of felt I need to make the pockets. So I folded the vest down like this so it would make this part really straight, and put it right here up against the zipper and then over to here. So I have about 31 inches. I also decided that I wanted my pocket holders to be about 7 inches long. So I took my piece of felt and I cut it at about 8.5 inches so I could fold this over and have a really nice seam along the bottom, and then fold this over on the top, stitch it up, and have a nice clean seam along the top. So I'm going to go ahead and get those seams. I just finished stitching along the top of my piece of felt. I did this darker thread because I wanted to be able to make sure you could really see the things I was sewing. If I was typically doing this, I would have chosen a blue or a clear thread. I'm a big fan of clear thread, but I might be able to see. So because of that, I made a little zigzag pattern, but you could use a straight stitch or any kind of stitch that you want to, depending on what your machine does. So this part is going to go on here and it won't be stitched on. This is where I'm going to make the lines going down. Next thing I'm going to do is fold this over, and I'm going to stitch it actually onto the bottom of the vest and get the sides on as well. I am ready to stitch on these pockets, this large pocket. As you can tell, I folded the fabric a little bit so I could have a nice clean line. I did it right there. And instead of sewing along the bottom, because this is already really thick and I don't want to damage my machine or break my needle, I'm going to stitch right along the top. I also folded this so it would have a clean seam on the outside. And the bottom has a little more stretch than the top, so I had to cut it kind of at an angle instead. You can kind of see from here, that's the excess that I cut off. It was wider at the top and a little thinner at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this on my machine and stitch all the way across, turning it and up to the top there. Stitched on. It's essentially just one really big pocket at this point. I stitched around the sides here. You can tell it's not terribly noticeable from the back. You can see it, but it doesn't look too bad. Even using the darker thread, I bet with a similar color thread you'd be barely able to notice it all. So I decided that I was going to do, this is approximately 30 inches across, so I decided I'd do about pockets that were 6 inches wide, mostly because the pocket is right here on this side and I don't want to stitch over the pocket. I want the pockets usable. So I did 6 inches, another 6 inches, another 6 inches, another 6 inches, and I'm just going to sew straight down and make these pockets, and then we'll get started on making the weighted bags for them. Right, so I stitched down here like this using a fabric marker would be really helpful in this situation, or some fabric chalk. If you don't have either of those, you can just kind of eyeball it, which is what I did. So what I do is before I start sewing, I put the presser foot down, put the needle in, and then start to go. Don't forget to back stitch. And because it's a little thicker fabric, you kind of have to give it a little pull. Sewing machine I use. It's a Singer Confidence, and it is by far my favorite sewing machine I've ever had. Pockets are sewn. I'm just going to trim all of the strings from the back and the front of the vest. Now it is time to make the weighted bags. I've got, my pockets are approximately 6 inches wide by 7 inches long, and I want them to fit kind of snug but not so tight that it's a pain to get in, so I'm probably going to make them 5 to 5.5 by 6.5 or so. That way they can slide in, have a little room, but they're not so big that they're flopping around. And I'll show you how to do that. To make things simpler, I took a piece of cardboard and I cut it out the size of the pocket. And this will allow me just a small seam allowance all the way around, so I know it'll fit in there pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my fabric and cut out squares so I can make the weighted bags. So I finished cutting out the fabric for the bags I'm going to do. I left one side, I cut it on a fold, so it will have one last thing to stitch. And then the final thing I have to cut out is I took the remainder of the felt and the flannel, and I'm going to make it so we can have some up here. So when it's on, it'll have weight going down this side and weight going down that side. And the Velcro will be stitched right here so they can take it on and off. And this is completely washable, so it'll be really easy. Even the bags themselves, the weighted bags, are washable. But chances are those won't get dirty, but this might, so I want to make it really user-friendly for the teacher. Now I'm ready to sew the pockets. So what I did is I took the fabric from that direction and I turned it right sides together. That means you take the fabric, the colored part of the fabric, the design part, and put it on top of each other, fold it in half. And then I take the very top part and fold it over on top of this so it'll have a nice, clean, easy seam at the top. I'm going to stitch down here, stitch across here, flip it inside out, and that'll provide me a bag. I cut a piece of this sheet batting, well, 2 pieces actually, and I put it inside my right-sided out pocket, and now I'm just going to fill it up with the pellet. The first bag has been sewn, and the thing you want to do is you want to shake it real good and make sure nothing's going to fall out. Last thing you want is an exploded weighted bag. And then you'll want to trim all the edges and do the rest of them. The first shoulder pocket done. The way it's going to fit on here, I sewed 2 lines there so it'll be flat, and I'll use some velcro, some of the non-sewing sticky back velcro that's made for fabric, and I'll put it right there, and then these will be removable so it'll be easy for the teacher to wash. I have all the weighted bags down and they're tucked inside the vest. I have them different weights, 1 pound to half a pound, and these are just a little under half a pound as well for the shoulders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my no-sew velcro that's made specifically for fabric, and I'm going to stick them on the places I want to. So I put the sides together so they'd be even, and I'm just going to put them right there, and then I'm going to do the same thing for here. I'm going to peel off the sticky, put them on, and put them and press them down, and then I'm going to give them 24 hours before I pull them apart. So again, I'm going to just rip off the paper, put them on, and then let it sit for 24 hours, and then it should be good to go with no sew velcro.